Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today's video we play Valkyrie Elysium. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Before we get started, if you guys could do me a huge favor, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. I appreciate all the support that you guys have shown me, and you guys are awesome. Let's jump right into the video. So starting off with the story for Valkyrie Elysium, you play as one of Odin's Valkyries, and you are tasked with collecting these 4 different items or gifts that you have to bring to Odin to save the world. At the beginning of the game, they kind of tells you, and also Odin tells you, that there's this big war happening and that Ragnarok is upon us. But despite all this and that this world should be at war, it's literally empty. Like, Asgard is empty. At the beginning of the game, it's just you and Odin. That's it. You do, encounter a few more characters as you go throughout the game, and so, yeah, Asgard gets a few more people, but for 99% of this game, it's just empty. And overall, I felt that the story was fairly generic and super predictable at times. With only a few things that really surprised me, most of the stuff was very predictable. The combat here is actually one of the game's saving graces. It was fun, it was flashy. You get a total of 4 different weapons in the game, and although they kind of differ in like attack animation and just the way that they look, they all do the same damage output and the same, I believe, magic kind of thing. So, I mean, most of the weapons, it just came down to preference. There wasn't really anything really different about them. What was really fun, though, was the divine arts, or the magic system in the game. I thought that was really fun. You get 4 different places that you can unlock with magic, and you can swap them out for different, elemental attacks, different magic attacks, or as you go throughout the game, you can get better versions of the magic that you already have. For instance, like lightning, you can get like a super lightning attack kind of thing. The magic here, I thought, was all really fun, and I really enjoyed that part of the game. When you're not doing your magic, you just have your normal attacks, which is just a button masher. You're literally just hitting square, 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 and then to end the combo, you'd always hit it with like a triangle or something like that. But 99% of this game literally just felt like I was button mashing. I mean, the magic did help spice up things a little bit, especially with the enemy variety being weak to certain elemental attacks. So you can switch up there, but when you're just doing like your slashes and whatnot, it's just smashing square the whole time. Like I said a minute ago, each of the enemies have an elemental or some sort of weakness. It'll display it right in the middle of their health bar. You'll see like a lightning bolt for electricity, a snowflake for snow attacks, or a little dark moon for dark attacks, things like that. So each enemy were weak to something, minus a few bosses. Pretty much everything had a weakness, and that was kind of cool to intertwine it with the magic and with your attacks. As you go throughout the game, you acquire more Inherion. They're like spirits that you can summon to help aid you in battle. You start off with, I'm gonna butcher all their names. I just remember Cypher and Taika. The other two, oh yeah, and Christopher, and Aegon or something like that. Anyways, these were probably some of my favorite parts of the game, favorite aspects. Each of these 4 characters that you can unlock have different abilities that come with them. For instance, Taika does fire, and so whenever you summoned her, not only does she do these fire attacks, but your normal attacks that I was talking about earlier, where you're just pushing square, they also do fire damage as well. So it's kind of like a stacked, especially when you're hitting enemies that are weak, so you can blast fire at them, and also when you summon her, you can have your fire attack, so you're doing like quadruple the damage. And when you also don't use, the enemy's weakness, it's just kind of a grind. Like some of these big bosses, like if you don't have their weakness, like it just takes forever to whittle them down. But like I said, the Inherion are probably my favorite part of this game. They make the game just feel more lively. For most of the part, it just feels so bland and empty and lifeless. And I love their little banter between the 4 and how they interact with our main Valkyrie character. The Inherion, like I said, just the best part. I really like their part in this game. Another thing with the combat is I really loved the soul chain. It's like this weird, like magical, like chain whip thing that you can hit enemies with, and it really keeps the combat fluid, and it just made it fast and fluid, and I really enjoyed it. Kept it moving so that you didn't have to like stop and run all the way to the other side of the map, and it didn't matter how far that the enemies were, it would just bring you right to it. So the soul chain was a cool idea. I really liked it. There are a few boss fights in the game, and for the most part they all looked really cool, and they all did really cool attacks. My only issue is that when you know their weakness, you can really double down on it with the magic, with the Enherion, and then also with the Enherion it adds that ability to your weapon. And so a lot of these bosses were just flat out easy. Minus, like, I think the last two where you fight Odin and Fenrir, they were the only ones that I really struggled with. Almost everything else was super easy. There is a handful of areas in the game, but like I said earlier, they all just feel really bland and lifeless. Like, all the areas are just, they just are just empty. Even Asgard, who is supposed to be at war, is just empty, and it looks really cool. You get to Asgard and everything in around it just looks cool, but it's just empty. There's nobody there. There's no NPCs. There's just Odin and you. Even when you get to some of the later missions and even the side missions, they just make you retread the same area again. So it's, you don't really get to see any new ones. Like I said, there's just a handful, and you see those probably 3 or 4 times before moving to the next area, which you'll hit another 2-3 times. I didn't run into any glitches, at least that I noticed while I was playing. Every now and then the camera would catch on a wall or something, like if I was in a boss arena, but it wasn't too bad to where I got super mad about it. It didn't happen too often. One of the things that I will say though is that the lip sync in this was just terrible, and it bugged me. I hate when I see, like, watch movies or whatever, and it's just the audio and like the visuals are not synced up. And maybe it's because it was originally in Japanese, I don't know. But yeah, the lip sync was off, and then at times when the character is still talking, like you hear them talking and their lips just aren't moving at all. Also, there is only voice acting in the main missions, and that's it. Anything that is outside of those 9 core missions is only text only. That means all the side missions, all the stuff that you can do up in Asgard, minus talking to Odin, but that kind of ties into the main missions. That's how you start each main mission. And so, yeah, that was kind of annoying. I found out just by playing some side missions, and I was like, oh, we're no longer having voice acting. Okay, cool. But, I mean, honestly, the whole game just felt like old, if that makes sense. It felt like I was playing like an old PS3 game. Like, maybe it's just the way that the graphics looked. It's just like the areas just looked super bland, and on top of that, they were empty. Like, I kind of forgot to mention this. In the areas, there's pretty much nothing other than the enemies. There's nothing to find. They're all pretty linear, and the only things that there are is just the flowers and some loot, or not loot, some treasure chests that are hidden in corners and stuff. But other than that, it's just pretty much empty. I do have to say that even though the areas themselves look pretty bad, all the enemies and the Enherion and of course the Valkyrie and Odin, everyone looked super cool, super colorful. Like, as far as like all the characters, I should say, all looked really cool. And it's just like the areas that they were set in. It almost looked like that they were plucked from something else and just dropped into this land, and that, I don't know, maybe it wasn't finished. I don't know. It's just like everything else looked pretty decent, minus the areas and the environments just looked terrible. Overall, Valkyrie Elysium, I would give a solid 5 out of 10. Like I said, overall, this game just felt very generic and does very little to stand out from other games. Combat is fun and flashy, and I do have to say that, and the magic was fun, and the Enherions were some of the best part of the game. But just everything else, like the areas were just so bland and empty. And then, like, the story, like I said, I think is a solid okay. Like I said, the story itself is a solid okay, but it is predictable. But that's going to be it for today's video, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know down in the comments what you guys thought of Valkyrie Elysium. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll catch you guys on the next video.